We believe that every individual has a calling, a deep sense of purpose that they are uniquely equipped to live out. That calling is often presented as something so personal, so distinctly individual that each person must endeavor to hear it on their own terms. But there are times when the world calls out for people to answer the call en masse. When humanity cries out for people to step up from their dream worlds and into the lives that they were meant to live. 2020 is such a time. And over the last few years, our enterprise has spoken passionately about the leadership deficit, how we need to raise up more better leaders and to create a better world. We've seen tremendous response. But our voice alone has not been enough to turn the tide. Now, with everything that has happened in 2020, it seems as if the world itself is calling out for everyone to step up to the plate and lead the way. From chaos comes clarity, and from clarity comes conviction. We have chosen to answer the call of leadership and in turn, magnify that call worldwide.
Welcome once again to Leadership When It Matters the Most. Mark Cole here, John Maxwell, Social Distancing. Glad to have you with us today. Hey, wasn't that an incredible session by Valerie last week?
Terrific.
She did an incredible job, and today is going to be no different. Don't forget, we are really excited. We're coming down to the wire for Live2Lead 2020. And we're bringing to you today and in this series some of our best past L2L speakers. There's still time for you to register for the 2020 event if you will visit live2lead.com/virtual. Now, John,
wait. You know, I'm not technical. Hold on. Let me just give them that how to get this.
Okay.
Because I'm watching you do this, and you did that / thing, and I thought that was really good. So if you'll just go to, I'm sorry, Brian, I got to go back to where the / is. It's down at the bottom. You didn't need to move anywhere. There, that's perfect. It was just so incredible. So if you'll just go, again, for people like me, I'll do it real slow because when Mark does it so fast, I would be already lost. I would still be trying to figure out what he said. Live2Lead.com. Watch this. / virtual.
That's so good. You did
I learned
excellent.
That from you.
You did excellent.
That / that was a new one. And now, Mark, let me introduce. Okay, because our guest this week is an author, radio personality. His name is Dave Ramsey. Love Dave. He's built an amazing business in Tennessee, and he leads teams of hundreds of people. He's an expert in practical financial advice. He's an expert in leadership. You're going to enjoy Dave's humor. You're going to love his candor, his heart for helping other leaders just like you. So from our 2017 L2L, here's my friend, Dave Ramsey.
Wow! Man, I think somebody, thanks you guys. I think somebody messed up. John Maxwell was just up here right before me. And like the CEO, former CEO of Popeyes, is Cheryl, is going to be in here. One of the best players in NFL history, work done, is going to be in here. And y'all got me. I feel like a wiener in a steakhouse, y'all. This is unbelievable. Wow. So John and I, the little thing was right. I've admired him from afar for many years, and then about 15 years ago, we ended up on a stage at the same time and talking and got to know each other, and I was worshiping him backstage, and he liked that. And so that started our friendship, and we've been doing a lot of stuff back and forth. He's done a bunch of our leadership events, and I've done a bunch of his stuff over the years. And so we ended up doing this thing where he calls me the other day and he says, Dave, I know you're like patriotic. And I said, yeah. And he said, so I know you believe in free speech. And I said, yeah. And he said, good, I want you to give one. So we trade back and forth and don't even charge each other because we just like hanging out together and doing things. So I'm so honored to be with y'all today. How many of y'all grew up like I did, not rich? I grew up in Antioch, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, kind of across the tracks a little bit, and I used to ride my bicycle down to the local Quick Sack to get an icy. Y'all got ices where you're from? And I came in about 12 years old. I asked my dad, I said, Daddy, I need some money to go get an icy. And he said, how old are you? And I said, well, I'm your son. I'm 12. And he said, you don't need money, you need a job. You know the kind of dad I'm talking about, right? Some of you were raised like that. And he said, what could you do to earn some money? I said, well, I guess I could cut some grass. Some of my buddies cut grass. And he said, good, get in the car. Well, I knew that was a problem because I knew we didn't cut grass with the car. True story, took me down on Nolensville Road, a main drag there in Nashville, Tennessee. Back in the old days, used to have those old printers, and they would print up like letterhead and business cards and that kind of stuff, if you're old enough to remember that kind of thing. And he went in there and he printed up 500 business cards, said Dave's Lawns. I said, Dad, this is a little overkill, just wanted an icy. He came home and he said, I want you to go to the closest 50 doors in the neighborhood. I want you to knock on their door. I want you to wear a belt, comb your hair, brush your teeth, take 2 steps back so when the lady of the house comes to the door, she doesn't feel threatened by your scrawny self. And you smile and reach out and shake their hand and you ask them for the opportunity to provide their lawn care needs. Don't go up there with your pants hanging down around your ankles, looking down at your feet, saying, you don't want me to cut your grass, do you? I did it, and Dad blamed if it didn't work. I got 27 yards to cut at 12 years old. That's child abuse. He made me keep a profit and loss statement on my business, my income, minus his lawnmowers I tore up, equals net profit. We had junior achievement. Junior best be achieving something. I've always loved business. I've always loved making money. I've always found out that you serve people, give people something they want. And as my friend Rabbi Daniel Lappin says, when you serve them well, they'll give you certificates of appreciation with presidents' faces on them. They'll say thank you when you serve them well. So we started our little business, and after I went broke, I started teaching people how to handle money. Now, that's logical. And we grew our little business up to about 10 people. And I wasn't a leader at all. I was listening to those Enjoy tapes, learning to figure out what leader meant. I mean, I have a degree in business, but they didn't teach leadership. And so I started going, well, this 1 to 10 ratio thing doesn't work, because I was so dumb, y'all. When I first started, I thought if you hired people, they would, like, work. You ever had that experience? And I figured out people didn't care like I cared. They didn't work like I worked. And I figured out this boss thing wasn't working. So I got to figure out, plus 1 to 10 ratio doesn't work. And I've got to start mentoring and growing leaders. So I started my first 4 leaders. I pulled the smarter ones out of the bunch, and we started being leaders and started talking about leadership. And then we got to 40 people. So it's back to a 1 to 10 ratio again with 4 of us, 3 guys and me being the leaders. And that didn't work. You can't do a 1 to 10 ratio, y'all. You can't love people well on that kind of ratio. Direct leadership. It doesn't work. The military does about 1 to 5. In Exodus, Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, said, son, you're about to kill yourself trying to judge all these million people by yourself. You need a leadership system. And when you actually read through there, those of you that are math nerds like me, it's about a 1 to 5 ratio that they broke that down. It's very interesting. And so I thought, well, I got to grow leaders. So I started teaching a leadership class, how to run a business the way we run a business so that you get to stay in our business. And if you want to come to this class, you can come. And I started teaching it. And what I did the first night was I asked everybody, give me a 1-word definition, a 1-word character quality of a world-class leader. I want you right now in your mind to think of a world-class leader, someone you know personally, someone you worked for, maybe your pastor, maybe someone you admire from afar, but someone that is a world-class leader. And I want you to get their face in your mind, and I want you to think of a 1-word character quality that defines them. Got it? Raise your hand, and I'm going to collect a couple of these. When I call on you, you have to yell, because I've been on radio and I've lost my hearing, especially if you have a sweet little southern passive-aggressive voice like my wife. I can't hear you at all. So you're going to have to really speak up. Okay, so raise your hand. Yes, ma'am. Approachable. Very good. Yes, sir. Teachable. Very good. Servant. That's what we're here for. Trustworthy. Very good. Visionary. Very good. Are we typing these? We are? There they are. Okay. Visionary, teachable, approachable, servant. Okay. One more. Yes, sir. Influencer. Yeah, John Maxwell said that's what a leader is. Yes, ma'am, right here. Honesty. Passionate. Zeal. Zeal. Thank you. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. The one that's waving. Integrity. Thank you. Yes, sir. Caring. Very good. I think we got to, y'all look at that. You know, I've done this like 1,000 times now over the years. Is that a leader? This is not a trick question. Approachable, servant, teachable, visionary. Would you like to have that as an elected official? You know, would you like to be led by someone in an organization, in your church, in your company, by someone that has those character qualities? Do we all agree that that is a leader? Say yes. Yes. No trick questions here. I do easy stuff. That's a leader. So if you're hiring someone in your organization and you want them to lead in your organization and they don't have a lot of that, they're not a leader. And to the extent that you call yourself a leader and you're not that, you suck. Because we can all agree, anywhere in the world that you go, that is a leader. Well, I'm going to make her sales manager, but she exaggerates. No, she lies. Can you tell I did that one? It's painful. I wanted her to win more than she wanted to win. I wanted her to tell the truth. Woman could sell ice to Eskimos, only she could never deliver. She knew how to catch them. She couldn't clean them. You know what I'm talking about? I'm self-centered and arrogant, and I'm in charge. You're not a leader. By definition. So I thought, well, we're going to teach leadership. That's what we're going to teach is leadership. This is awesome. I love leadership. We're going to teach leadership. But I have a problem. I went to college and got a business degree. How many of you have a business degree or took business classes in college? Yeah, see, you had the same thing I did. I've been scarred. I went to management class and was taught management by a tenured college professor who had never made payroll. And I knew I didn't want to teach people that. I knew that wasn't what it was. I knew it was more visceral than that. I knew there was character involved in this. And so sometimes when I hear leadership, I have a flashback and I think it's management. It's not management. Managers count stuff. I don't have any managers on my team. I took manager off of all their cards. Nobody's got that title. And if you're a manager, I'm not mad at you, but change your title. And because managers count stuff. They maintain the status quo. And they're not going to get more before or whatever that was he said. They're not going there. We're leaving. The train is leaving. You want to get on the thing. This is where we're going. Get on. That's a leader. Managers are standing behind everybody like herding cattle. The organization moves at the speed of the lowest common denominator. Leaders are in front going, this way to hamburger. Let's go, baby. You're looking like a steak. Let's go. We got places to go and things to do and people to see. We're moving and going. This is leadership. That's what I want to teach people. And so I thought, well, maybe it's not leadership. Maybe I want to teach them to be entrepreneurs on my team. Because I'm very entrepreneurial and I'm full of energy and ideas, and I have like 73 ideas before lunch every day, and most of them are bad, and just like, those of us that are entrepreneurial, we're all a little bit ADD, right? Like, squirrel, it's like, you know what I'm talking about, right? And so I thought, well, maybe I need to have an entrepreneur. So think about a great entrepreneur in your mind. Someone that you think of as entrepreneurial. See their face and raise your hand, give me a one-word character quality for an entrepreneur. Yes, sir. Focused. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Confident, yes. Creative. Fearless. Yeah, sort of. I'm sorry. Passionate. Very good. Yes, sir. Determined. Great entrepreneurs. Yes, sir. Productive. Very good. Very good. Yes, ma'am. Resourceful. Very, very good. Yes, sir. Aggressive. Thank you. Good. Yes, ma'am. Risk taker. Risk taker. Very good. Very good. Okay. Is that an entrepreneur? Say yes. It's an entrepreneur. So I thought, I want entrepreneurs. And then I got to thinking about it. Oh, Lord, if the whole building is full of entrepreneurs. I mean, because entrepreneurs they're wonderful. You want entrepreneurs on your team for sure. For sure. But if you only have entrepreneurs on your team, it's like trying to nail Jell-O to a tree. I mean, it's like herding cats. Because, you know, the thing about entrepreneurs is they think they own your company. They get confused. They take personal ownership and pride. And they are the truth tellers. They're the ones in a meeting. The other day I'm in a meeting, one of my young guys, entrepreneur without a good filter, and he said, you know, that idea just sucks. And I went, well, that's my idea, and I have socks older than you. He goes, that doesn't keep the idea from sucking, Dave. Just keeps coming back. These are entrepreneurs. They're the ones that stand up and go, emperor has no clothes, boy is naked. They're truth tellers. You want entrepreneurs on your team. They bring the creativity. They bring the determination. They bring the energy. If you only have entrepreneurs, it'll drive you bananas. If you have an organization that has absolutely no entrepreneurs in it, you know what you are? The government. Think DMV. I mean, wow. But you got to have some entrepreneurs. But I knew I didn't just want entrepreneurs. I knew I didn't want manager, leader type guys. So in Tennessee, what we do is if we're in doubt, we make up a new word. And I put the two words together, and I called it EntreLeadership. Entrepreneurs with leadership tendencies, leaders with entrepreneurial tendencies. And I want them to have both, a hybrid of that in our organization. Wrote a book, turned out to be a #1 bestseller because I know how to sell books really good. And off of that, and so that's become a whole brand for us. But the dictionary says a leader is a person who rules, guides, or inspires others, but our definition is better. The dictionary says an entrepreneur is one who organizes or operates or assumes risk for a venture. Our definition is better. The word entrepreneur literally comes from the French word entreprendre. That's hillbilly French, which means what you said, risk taker. That's what it means. It means one who takes a risk. And, oh, I don't like risk. Yeah, you do. You drove here in Atlanta traffic. As opposed to walking, you took a risk and you measured the risk versus the return. And it was a reasonable return, a reasonable risk given a better return than walking. And so we all take risks every day. We just take educated risks. I don't want you to be a gambler, but I want you to take measured, wise risks which keep you moving forward. And I want you to combine that with the diplomacy and the class of integrity and caring and servant and trustworthiness of a leader. And when you put those two things together, you've got some real magic happen. We call it EntreLeadership, the process of leading or to cause a venture to grow and prosper. And you know, leadership is just, it's essential. It's why I've studied John for so long and read most of his books. I can't read them as fast as he can write them, though. I can't keep up. Organizations are never limited by their opportunity. They're limited by their leader. One of the things I discovered it from John, I've discovered it from other great writers, is the problem with my organization is me. I'm the problem. I would do my radio show on the glass in our lobby, and we have this great lobby we have a lady named Dorothy that comes into our kitchen, our coffee shop bookstore that's on the lobby, and she cooks homemade cookies and coffee every morning. So when you walk into our place, it doesn't smell like corporate America, it smells like Mama's kitchen. And so I want you to feel at home when you come into our place. And so on the other side, on the glass, is my radio show. So during a commercial break, I'll often come out and talk to whoever's out there drinking up my free coffee and my free cookies and watching my show. And sometimes there's 2 people out there, and sometimes there's 200 sitting around, depending on what's going on right then. You know, About 200 is about all the place will hold, so it isn't that big a deal. But anyway, I come out. Y'all remember 2008? You remember? So I come out at the break. Now, I've been bankrupt. I know what it feels like to do stupid and get yourself in trouble and lose everything and have to start again. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. So when I run into somebody like that, my heart immediately goes there. I can go from wild and crazy and bombastic to soft and compassionate in a heartbeat because I know right where their head is, their heart is. And I walk out, and this guy's got his head down. His body language is all wrong. In Tennessee, we'd say his tail was dragging. You know what I'm talking about. And you could tell. I said, what's up, dude? It was just him out there. And he goes, well, I just had to come by and see somebody. I knew you'd understand because I know your story. We had never met, but this is the worst day of my life. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I filed bankruptcy this morning. Oh, man. How old are you? 26. Tell me what happened. He goes, well, I started cutting grass in my teens, and up through college, I kept cutting grass, and I built a landscaping business. And I hired a landscape architect. We started doing irrigation and full-on landscaping services, and the building boom hit Middle Tennessee, and boom, 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 man, we were going, and we were making money. He goes, I was making so much money, Dave. I said, what's the best year you ever had? And he said, net profit, I made $300,000. I said, and you're 26? You're going to be all right. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, once you've ridden that bicycle, you know what it feels like. There's a gravitational pull, jerk you back up above 6 figures so fast it's going to make your head spin, but you're going to have to get your head right again. But for now, you can just cry because it takes a little while to grieve what you've been through. You know, go lick your wounds a little bit and hurt a little bit, but then when you get back up, get up because you got some things to do. And he said, yeah. I said, what happened? And he said, well, I got all these builders, and the builders are all going broke, and they couldn't pay their bills, and so when they didn't pay me, I couldn't pay my suppliers, and it was a cascading effect, and he said, I just wrote myself a check of stupid, and it got cashed, and he said, I just got boxed in the corner, I just lost everything, it's just my fault, and I'm just, really. 2 hours later, I'm still on the air. I come out. There's another guy out there, true story, bouncing around like the ever-ready bunny on Red Bull. I mean, this guy is like, yeah. I'm like, dude, what is up with you? Best year of my life. I knew you'd understand, Dave, because you've had some successes. I wanted to come by and tell you the story. I said, what are you doing, man? I said, everybody's out there crying. The economy's dying. And you heard? He goes, I know. I heard. He said, it's okay, though. I'm having the best year of my life. And I said, what you do? He goes, I'm in the landscaping business. I said, where? He said, right here in this community. I said, you'll never believe it. 2 hours ago, another guy in your same business, in this same economy, in this exact same situation came in here, and he just filed bankruptcy, and you're having the best year of your life. He goes, I know, it's awesome. I said, but the builders aren't paying their bills. He goes, they are if they want bushes. They pay me up front. He goes, and those guys going broke, I'm buying all their equipment at pennies on the dollar. I'm getting their customers list. They're all going to work for me. They're good people. He said, man, my business is exploding. What's the difference? It's the same economy. It's the same space. What's the difference? Leadership. Your organization is not limited by its opportunity. It's limited by your brain, the way you look at it. Same economy. It was a legitimate thing that guy got trapped in a horrible downturn. I wasn't picking on him. He's not at fault. I did stupid like he's done. I'm not mad at that young man. He'll be fine. Everything's going to be okay. But in the same space, one's succeeding, one's not. There's no explanation except for the one variable difference, and that's the man involved, the woman involved. That's it. Organizations are not limited by their opportunity. They're limited by their leader. And as a leader, you must understand your enterprise will never outgrow you. Your education, your character, your capacity, your ability, your vision are what are limiting you. My friend John Maxwell, in his best-selling book, I think to date still, 21 Irrefutable Laws, says I think it's the number 3 law is the leadership lid. Law of the lid. Is that right? It's number 3. Law of the lid. One. Well, there you go. Should have been 3, but it was 1. Okay. He says this exact same thing. I'm the problem with my organization. Once I looked in the mirror and I said, it's your fault, it changed everything. When I looked in the mirror and did that, it's my fault. Something happens in my organization, you know whose fault it is? I run the freaking place. It's my fault. Well, you never even met the guy. You got 642 employees. You never even met him. Yeah, but I put the systems and the processes in place that allowed us to hire that ignoramus. It's my fault. and it's limited on me. Here's the interesting thing. If my capacity, if my ability, if my vision, if my intellect, if my education are if I am the limiting factor, that's the bad news. The good news is I'm the solution. And I can fix that because I've been to the hospital and they come out and they say, it's a little boy, it's a little girl. They never say, it's a leader. He's a born leader. Bull! All the attributes of leadership are a choice. You can just decide right now, I'm going to have more ability, I'm going to get more education, I'm going to have more vision, I'm going to be more compassionate, I'm going to have more integrity. You can decide today to do that. Ready? Just like that. I had a young guy working for me, and he was doing the stuff he was doing wrong. And I went, dude, don't do it that way. This is the way you do it. You do it this way. Come here, let me show you. Do it this way. Do it right here. Okay, I got it. I walk off, I come back. He's doing it wrong still. I'm like, hey, this is the way you do it. Don't do it that way. Do it this way. I come back. He's doing it wrong still. And I'm like, boy, we are going to set you free in Jesus' name. I mean, this is not going to work out for you. You are not going to get to stay if you don't. And he looks at me and he says, I'm not like you. And I said, okay, change. So you don't have to be like me, but there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Do it the right way. And you know, you can decide to have more integrity. Change. I can decide I am worthy of trust, trustworthy. Change. Early for appointments. Coming in late's arrogant. You're too important to be there. If you were meeting John Maxwell, you'd be early because he's important. I'm coming late for that. I was the first one at the restaurant last night for the VIP because I had to fly in and get through Atlanta traffic. And that's unpredictable, both of those things. I want to be there to honor the obligation. Make a decision to be worthy of trust. Change. Change. Just decide. You want to be a better leader? Do stuff like this and go home and do it. Change. You can change. The quirky brilliance of the founder will only take you so far. You can only get so far on your natural talents. Most of you are what we call go-getters. Most of you are people who know how to draw fire and reholster before most people thought about anything and fell over dead. You're quick on the draw, most of you. You have that quirky brilliance. I was interviewing family businesses because I'm a family business and I wanted to study succession planning and transition. And I was talking to this young man, and he's running a business that's $4 billion top line. Young man, he's 50. Which I'm 57, so that makes him young. And so his dad is 72, and he said, my dad grew the business to $1 billion. When the 3 sons took over, we took it to $4 billion in 36 months. I said, how in the world did you do that? And he said that statement, that's where I got it. The quirky brilliance of the founder can only take you so far. My dad is brilliant, Dave. He grew $1 billion business. Shut up. That's 1,000 million. That's a lot. He's brilliant. But he said, we brought things to the table that he didn't know. We went and got MBAs. We brought some academics. We brought some processes and some concepts and some new technologies that Dad couldn't grasp in his 70s. And we plugged those things in. And there was so much low-hanging fruit because he didn't know what he didn't know. But he brought it a long way on his quirky brilliance. But the quirky brilliance of the founder can only take you so far. Here's the interesting thing. You know what I decided? I decided, number one, I need to train the next generation out of that phrase, right? The next thing I decided was, if the quirky brilliance of the founder can only take you so far, maybe the founder needs to keep growing. Maybe I need to change. Maybe I need to know something I didn't know. I mean, I've only sold about 15 million books. John sold 25 million, so probably I ought to be asking him how you do that. And I think I just heard some secrets. I may need some help with my writing, which my freshman English professor already knew that. And my first paper, she slit her wrist and bled all over it, and it's all red. So when you're a leader, you must have power but seldom use it. We were having a great discussion at the table last night. We were all talking about famous people we'd like to meet that we haven't met, people, who would you like to have lunch with someday? And all these famous people sitting at the table. I mean, I'm sitting there with John Maxwell and Cheryl and Warwick, and we're all having this great discussion. John brought up this question, and we were talking about people, and Warwick talked about, it wasn't his pick, but he used to play for Tony Dungy, and I've done a lot of speaking gigs with Tony and loved the guy. He said, Tony was just this quiet strength. You just did not want to disappoint him. You must have power, but seldom use it. I was in a situation with a bunch of these famous people, and the mayor, Rudy Giuliani, and I were sitting there, and he and I met at Fox several times, but we were sitting there, and I said, you know what? He said, you know what, Dave, I never got a picture with you. I want a picture with you. And handed somebody a camera and stood up, and some little person in the room, it was a bunch of famous people, sir, you weren't supposed to be taking pictures. They didn't want everybody on Facebook, you know. Somebody looked at him and said, Mr. Giuliani, we don't take pictures in here. And he didn't say a word. He just... And she left. You know, you must have power, but seldom use it. He was not arrogant at all, but he's like, oh, that's sweet. You're precious. You're precious. See, positional power doesn't make you a leader. It might make you a boss. See, bosses push and leaders pull. Bosses are behind the herd going, leaders are going, this is the way of the promised land. That's the way we're going. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some chaos. Get ready for that. But it's going to be fun. The train is leaving the station, baby. You want to be on? You better get on. This is what we're doing. It's game on. We are going to the Super Bowl. You may play junior pro. I don't care. But if you want to go to the Super Bowl, this is the train we're on. This is where we are going. We're going to launch this book. It's going to be a #1. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do these 63,000 pieces of marketing catalyst information to gather up. We're going to get a runway. We're going to think about this. We're going to pull all the social together. We're going to do, and here, we're going this way. Oh, you don't want to run? Oh, we're running. You don't want to work? Oh, we work. You're just not going to fit in. Train's leaving. Position doesn't make you a leader. A boss pushes, a leader pulls. Persuasional leadership is much more effective than positional in the long run. Positional is easier. Positional is do it because I said. Persuasional is here's why we're doing it. Now you want to do it because you understand the why. And now when I turn my back, I don't have to watch you. Because you understand why we're going where we're going. That takes more time initially, but less time over the scope of a decade. Because you got a whole bunch of people in your wake that are doing all the stuff they're supposed to be doing, and you don't even know what all that is, but it doesn't matter because they understand the why and not just the what. They know where we're going. And that's what you're looking for. And to be a true leader, you have to be a servant. That's what this whole event is about. It's about servant leadership. Now, I got to tell you, I didn't grow up around church, but I met God later in life. So I went to one of these Christian leadership things when I was a baby Christian, and one of these guys gets up there and goes, you need to be a servant leadership. And I went, not really. I'm not serving anybody. I sign their check. They're going to do what they're told. I'm old school, right? Old dinosaur guy. Because I didn't hear servant when he said that. I heard subservient. Subservient is not a leadership style. But I serve my children when they're little by making them brush their teeth so later they have them against their will. I serve my son by simultaneously, at he's 8 years old, teaching him hygiene and integrity because he lied about taking his bath. I served him that night. How many of you ever had the pleasure of letting someone go as if they were held captive? We let them go. What's that mean? We were holding them in a cage? We let them go. They're now free. I love that phrase. It means you got fired. But how many times you let somebody go and then they become something so big out there because you weren't doing that, and that's really what God had for them to do. They were in the wrong place. As my friend Jim Collins says, he said they were on the wrong bus. They weren't just on the wrong seat on the wrong bus. They were on the wrong bus. And I let a guy go. He was in sales, and we worked with him. We said, son, you just suck at this. I said, it's awful. He goes, I know. What do you really want? I want to be a photographer. And I went, yeah, so does everybody. Whew. And we let him go. He went and became a photographer. He's one of the top photographers in the world now. That was 15 years ago. He's in Nashville. He shoots all the country music CD people, you know, the covers of everything. Guy's incredible. And we're still friends, by the way. But he sucked at sales. I served him, didn't I? And I was loving and kind when I did it. I'm never mean or bombastic when somebody's leaving our organization because it's a hard day. But they're going to leave, and I'm going to serve them. Servant leadership. You know, we always talk about traditional leadership, org charts and so forth. The classic org chart is the traditional leaders on top. The servant leader understands that you're carrying the weight of the organization, and all it means is you put other people's interests before yours. The old thing of, I'm going to do unto others as I have them do unto me, basic Bible Jesus stuff, right? I'm going to treat other people like I don't want to be treated. How would I want to be treated if I was in this situation? If I was going through a divorce and not on my A game right then, how would I want to be treated? Would I want to be thrown in the street like last week's garbage? No, we love our people when they're hurting. We don't shoot our wounded. Now, you need to heal and come back and bring your brain as you come back, but for a little while, you get downtime. Your grandma that raised you dies. She goes through 4 months of cancer. You're not going to be worth squat during that 4 months if you have a heart and if you're a real human. And if I'm a leader and I love you and I'm serving you, I get that. And I'm going to pour into you and prop you up and put people around you to carry you through that time. But then when it's time to play and you're on your A game, I'm going to expect you to be on your game, man. Game on. You can do both. They're not inconsistent or incongruent. I had a young lady on my team named Shauna. If you're ever up around there, she still works on our team. And she's got coal black hair, but there's one little gray streak right through the side right here. And she came in one day and her lip was quivering. I said, what's wrong? She said, my baby's sick. And a tear ran down her cheek. She works in accounting. And I said, what's wrong? She said, well, Doc says Lexi's got cancer. Lexi's 2. Leukemia. What do you do? What I want to do if my baby had cancer? What do I want somebody to do for me? I'll tell you what we did. I don't know. It's simple for me. I mean, our ladies gathered up and we created one of these little spreadsheets and they didn't cook a meal for the next 6 months, and our guys gathered up and we created another spreadsheet and they didn't cut their grass for the next 6 months. And we gave her 6 weeks off with pay, not counted against her vacation while they did chemo. Well, that's what I want somebody to do for me if my baby had cancer, because I know I couldn't breathe if my baby had cancer. Good news is that was 12 years ago, and we were having one of our events the other day with lunches, and I looked up and there's this teenage kid walking through the line, and it's little Lexi. She made it. Of course, we knew that all along, but every time I see her, I get choked up and I think about what that family went through a decade ago. I'll tell you this, if you're at a party in Nashville and you want to say something bad about Dave Ramsey, you need to look around the room and make sure there's not a little old girl with a gray streak through her head. You say something bad about me in her presence, she will take you out. And her husband's a deputy sheriff. They'll hide the body. You know why people aren't loyal to corporate America? Because corporate America is not loyal to people. That's servant leadership. You treat people like you'd want to be treated. If I deserve to be fired, I'd expect to be fired. If I deserve a raise, I'm getting a raise. If I'm bringing home the bacon, I want some of it. Treat other people like you want to be treated. That's all it is. It does boil down to that. It's a fairly simple equation in theory until you get to really walk it. And you'll feel it. Here, and in the wallet. But it pays back. Because I got a team, we win Best Place to Work in Nashville 10 years running. You know why? We're the best freaking place to work in Nashville. Honor to be with y'all. God bless you.
Powerful words from Dave Ramsey. I hope you were taking notes, and I hope from the beginning that you see the value of Live to Lead and all of its benefits. And there's still time to join us, but you need to act real soon. Like, okay, right now. Live to Lead 2020 is going to be amazing, but it will be even more amazing if you're with us.
John, you're going to be there.
I'm going to be there. You're going to be there.
Kat Cole's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be an incredible lineup. We're excited for you to be there with us. So remember, secure your spot today by going to
live2lead.com/virtual.
That's so good. That's so good. I hope you enjoyed Dave today. I know you're going to enjoy next week, because next week joining us, John, is our friend Simon Sinek. We look forward to seeing you next week on Leadership When It Matters the Most.